So, good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about drugs, and this presentation is about Drug Awareness Symposium. So, let's proceed. So, first and foremost, we are going to define what is drugs. So, what is drugs? So, according to the World Health Organization, a drug is a substance that can change how a living organism works. So, basically, drugs means these are substances that can alter some changes in your body, or that can initiate certain changes in your body, be it the way you think, the way you sleep, the way you energize yourself, sorts of like that. So a common misconception of drug is that when we talk about these things, it is very common for us to think that drugs automatically defines those illicit substance that we commonly know, such as marijuana, cocaine, shabu, or whatever kinds of drugs that we know. Those illicit drugs, or those obvious drugs that are banned in whatever country that you're going to go into. But basically, drugs are not always like that, because there are many kinds of drugs, and one of it is what we call the prescription medicine. So these are all legal medicine, but its usage or its medication is being monitored or controlled by the government. Why? So when we talk about prescription medicine, these are substances that are generally used for good reason. So let's take a look at aspirin or ibuprofen. So these are all drugs that can help alleviate the pain. We also have prescription medicine intended for to increase the chances of us being able to sleep. And we also have stimulants. So this triggers our body's energies, so sorts of like that. So basically, prescription drugs are drugs that falls into three categories. So remember, prescription drugs, these are not illegal. Rather, it is controlled by the government. So first, they are what we call opioids. So these are used to relieve pain. So sorts of a painkiller. Now they have depressant. These are used to relieve anxiety or help a person sleep. So they initiate sleep. So we also have stimulant. They are used for treating attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So basically, stimulant, to understand it, these are used to calm the mind so that those people suffering from ADHD can have some sort of relief from their disorder. So like any other drugs, prescription drugs can also be as dangerous if its medication becomes excessive and exceeds what is being intended or what is being prescribed by the doctor, because every medication has some risk for harmful effects, sometimes serious one. So that is the reason why doctors and scientists, they always consider the pros and cons when trying to prescribe you with a prescription medicine, whether the degree of disadvantages that you can get from this medicine will not surpass or exceed the degree of advantage or the degree of medication that this prescription drugs will offer. So generally, the danger of prescription drugs happens when there is a misuse or an excessive intake of what was originally intended as a normal dose. So anything that goes that exceeds beyond that, or sometimes even below that, that is where the harm comes from. So basically, the example of one of the more famous artists that uh, suffered intoxication from excessive intake of prescription medicine is Michael Jackson. So in 2009, he died uh, being overdosed by propofol. So this is the medicine that he has taken. And this medicine is used to induce sleep. So Michael Jackson overdosed himself with that prescription medicine. So now let us proceed to the different types of drugs. So we're gonna do more about what kind of drugs other than the prescription medicine. So let's proceed. So there's what they call herbal drugs. So when we talk about herbal drugs, these are generally coming from plant products. They can be in the form of dietary supplement, tablets, or even syrup. Many people believe that herbal drugs are generally harmless because they came from natural sources. But basically, this is not always true, because sometimes natural or herbal medicine did not receive affirmation or confirmation from medical experts. So sometimes because we believe that they are safe, we tend to overuse them or believe that they don't have any side effects. But actually, their lack of recognition from medical experts makes it a possible risk for intoxication or overdose, because even herbal medicine, though they come from plant products, they still have harmful effects. So just take a look at marijuana. So marijuana is also a medicine, it's also a plant product, but when you overdose yourself to it, that's the danger comes from. Next, we also have over the counter drugs. So as a contrary to prescription medicine, so simply over the counter drugs, these are all medicines, all drugs that are not being controlled by the government. So generally, they are safe. So you can just pick them without requiring so called prescription coming from the doctor. So basically, this includes, so for let's say for example, Bioderm, Chalice, cough syrups. So these are all drugs that are generally safe when being taken. So they are called over-the-counter drugs because you can just pick them in the counter without requiring prescription from the doctor. So they are safe. And there's what they call the prescription drugs. So these are drugs that are being regulated by the state because of their possible harmful effects, especially when being taken excessively. So these are all, if you try to read the table here, so these are the examples of prescription drugs and the condition that they try to heal. So Lipitor, it tries to alleviate heart disease and cholesterol. So that's it. This is prescription drugs. And we also have unrecognized drugs such as alcohol and tobacco. So don't get it wrong. Alcohol and tobacco, they are not really sort of as dangerous or as let's say red flag or let's say blacklisted compared to those what we call the obvious illicit drugs such as marijuana and cocaine and etc. Rather, they are considered unrecognized drugs because their addiction rate and the harm that they can uh, induce to people are also as dangerous compared to those illicit drugs. So they are as dangerous and they are also as addictive as those things. But these unrecognized drugs, they are not generally banned from the country, or they are not generally regulated. Some states allow them and some states do not allow them. Even New Zealand attempts to ban cigarette smoking by 2022. But other countries such as Philippines or any other countries in Asia, Europe, and all parts of the world, they allow tobacco because people really smoke. So, and also they allow alcohol because some people really drink. So basically, these unrecognized drugs, they are drugs because of their effects, and they also have harmful effects, and they are also addictive. But they are rather allowed by the state for recreational uses only. But if you try to over intoxicate yourself with these substances, chances are you're gonna die, just like drugs. You know? Because these things can also kill you. Now we have the illicit drugs, or let's say the more common types of drugs that we know. So these are the most obvious drugs that is illegal to almost all states and all countries. So illicit drugs basically fall into three major categories. So illicit drugs, they can be psychedelics. So when we talk about psychedelics, they are used recreationally to change and enhance sensory perceptions, thoughts, process, and energy levels, and to facilitate spiritual experiences. So psychedelics basically, it conjures hallucinations in your mind. It changes and it enhances your sensory perception. Basically, if you intake psychedelic drugs, what is happening to your body is that you will be induced into some sort of euphoria combined with certain hallucinations, that feeling of being so high, and you feel like you see things that are not supposed to be seen and hear sounds that are not supposed to be heard and feel some things that are not supposed to be felt by a normal person. And it is generally pleasurable because it stimulates your mind, it increases your sensory perceptions, and somehow it creates sort of beautiful hallucinations, sort of like that. And then we have stimulants. So they can make a person feel more awake, alert, confident, and energetic. So basically, stimulants are like energizers. So when you take illicit drugs that has effects that of an stimulants, they make you feel awake. So basically, they make you feel energetic. So sort of like that. And lastly, we have depressant. So these are the opposite of stimulants. So when we talk about depressant drugs, so this slows down your nervous system, making you feel complacent and making you feel like you don't care about your environment and you don't care about anything. So basically, it makes you feel relaxed. So if you try to differentiate it with stimulants make you feel energetic, while depressant, it makes you feel relaxed. So the sort of it slows down your nervous system. So basically, you're just gonna lie there and no, don't feel like anything. So basically, that's the effect of depressants. So illicit drugs, it could be marijuana, cocaine. So you know it. I know you know it because it's very common. So signs of the drug user. So not every addiction looks the same. So it is commonly represented by the media that when a person is drug addict, he has a person that has tattoos, very red eyes, very thin body, and very ugly face. But no, it's not always like that. Not because not every addiction looks the same. So in this part, we're gonna tackle about the different signs and symptoms and indication of drug users. And sometimes you just don't recognize them. But if you carefully observe these signs, you will know who they are. So first is the physical symptoms. So physical symptoms, these are the first things or the first indication that we are going to recognize. So basically, it is the bloodshot or red eyes and dilated pupils are all telling signs of many types of drug abusers. So basically, if a person has an unusually red eyes for no reason, you're gonna know it. So it is possible that you can suspect him as a drug user. Furthermore, they can also feel persistent itching in a specific area or body. So let's say their neck always constantly itch. So maybe that's a sign that this person is a drug user, coupled with the bloodshot or red eyes. Impulsive pulling down of sleeves to hide marks. So basically, there are drugs that we inject into our veins. So some people tends to impulsively pull down their sleeves in order to hide these marks. So maybe if you find a person who has this very unusual habit of pulling down his or her sleeve, maybe he's trying to hide something, be it a mark, a wound, or an uh, sort of like that. Maybe this is an indication that he is a drug user. Slurred speech. So basically, so that's a more obvious physical symptoms and frequent sniffing. So sort of like that. So maybe if you observe a person that has a very unusual habit of frequently sniffling, so maybe that's an indication that he is a drug user or a drug abuser. Next is the paraphernalia. So this is one of the more obvious things that you can find in a drug user's room, or be it his comfort room or bedroom, sort of like that. So pipes, syringe, rolled up banknotes, cut up throats, lighters, burnt spoons, or bottle caps. So just take a look at these pictures. So if you find this in one of the rooms, maybe it is very obvious that this person is a drug user. You find syringe, burnt spoons or bottle cups. Because who would burn spoons or bottle cups unless it is used for scientific projects? But no, there are no scientific projects in that room because he's not a student. So basically, that's a sign that this person is a drug user. So be careful when you are in contact with persons with those. Uh, if you find those persons having this paraphernalias. Loss of interest. So substance dependency takes over the mind's reward system. Take note if someone is becoming complacent in realms they used to take pride or apathetic towards the people or hobbies they usually cherish. So basically, drugs, it destroys the natural function of the brain's reward system. So basically, if a person is addicted to drugs, the only pleasure that they can get from this world will be taking those substances. So basically, they will lose interest to things that once gave them pleasure, such as writing songs, such as playing guitar, because now that their brain is being altered by illicit drugs, their happiness now tends to lean towards the illicit drugs. So without those, they will be sad, even if they do the things that they like, meet the people that they like, do things that they like, or uh, practice their hobbies. They will be losing interest of it because now their interest uh, is now drugs. So simply like that. Reclusive behavior. So basically, if you understand this, it means that people who are addicted to drugs, they are basically isolationist because they don't want to mingle with other people, because chances are they might suspect that they are drug users, because drug users generally are paranoid. They don't want other people to meddle with their business, and they don't want other people to know that they are using drugs, because they might report them to the police and they might get caught and they might get imprisoned. So basically, they isolate themselves to lock themselves in private spaces in order that people doesn't know what they are doing, or the types of substances they are intaking, because they are generally paranoid. Because imagine you're doing something very wrong, something very illegal, and something that is punishable by law. So basically, you would try to hide. You don't want other people to know what you are doing. So basically, you will tend to avoid people so that they will know that you are doing something illegal. And furthermore, drugs also, it manipulates you, or it changes your mind to become a very to become a paranoid. So something like that. So they tend to not trust people. Basically, they are alone. They like to be alone, and they need to be alone because they don't want other people to know what they are doing and what they are intaking. No? Because it is dangerous for them. No? They also have erratic behavior. So my example here are Post Malone, Snoop Dogg. So just don't mind it. So they have erratic behavior. When we talk about erratic, these are unpredictable behavior. So basically, drug users have very unstable mental condition, sort of like, especially if their brain cells are already destroyed by drugs because of too much intoxication. Basically, you find them happy, and later on, you will find them sad. And basically, you will find them calm, and the next day, you will find them very aggressive, sort of like that, and they get depressed once again, and once again they feel lively, sort of like that. So there are lots of emotional fluctuations. You just can't seem to understand what's going on in their mind, because there is no consistency or stability in the way they present, or the way they present themselves, sort of like that. So no, they tend to be so reckless, especially when, if they cannot intake the amount of dose that they require from themselves, basically there will be withdrawal reactions. So if they cannot intake the desired amount of drugs that they need, so basically there will be physical and emotional withdrawals that will be evident of their behavior. So that's it. So that's why they have very erratic behavior and frequent mood fluctuations. Next, changes in sleep patterns. Drug abuse tends to wreak havoc on users' sleep habits. Both stimulants and depressant alter the activity of hormones responsible for tiredness and wakefulness. So basically, it destroys the natural pattern of your body, specifically in the sleeping pattern. Imagine when you're taking stimulants. So what stimulants do is they tend to energize a person. So generally, if you take these drugs, you don't feel like you are tired or something. So let's say, for example, rugby. So when you take rugby, you're gonna feel as if you're Superman. You're gonna get high. You won't feel tired. You won't feel hunger. You won't feel pain. So that's just rugby. This is a simple example. So basically, this abnormal change in your body, keeping you awake, keeping you abnormally excited and energetic, it actually destroys your body's natural sleeping pattern, because your body now doesn't recognize tiredness. It doesn't recognize the need to sleep, because you induce yourself with a substance that abnormally forces your body to become energetic. So what it does is it destroys your natural function of being able to sleep. So basically, it changes your sleeping pattern. It is also the same with depressants. So frequent use of depressants, maybe it will tend to put you into a state where you always feel like you are tired, you don't feel like you have any energy to do anything, sort of like that. So basically, drugs destroys your sleeping habits. So always remember that. So people who are drug abusers, maybe they have unusual sleeping patterns, erratic sleeping pattern, basically like that. So how drugs affect the body? So when we talk about depressants, they slow down the central nervous system. So basically, it relaxes your muscles, it relaxes your brains. So it also affects your concentration and coordination and slow your ability to respond. So basically, it slows you down. So why do people take depressants? So why do people take this depressants to slow their body? So basically, they just wanted to feel relaxed. Basically, they just wanted to sort of somehow a rest, sort of to keep their mind from functioning, because basically that's the purpose of depressants, to keep you feel relaxed. You don't feel like anything, and you don't want to feel about the environment around you. You just want to be you, relax and slow down your muscles, your brain, and all of like that. So basically, it is a good drug. So hallucinogens or psychedelics. So as what I have mentioned earlier, this type of drugs, it destroys your sense of reality. You see things that are not supposed to be seen by a normal person. You hear things that are not supposed to be heard in a normal conditions, sort of like that. Basically, it induces hallucinations or images or sensory experiences, voices, sounds, uh, certain feelings, sort of like that. And they are all a result of hallucination induced by a drugs. So that's it. An example for it is marijuana. So marijuana is a form of hallucinogen. So basically, they induce hallucinations. So always remember that. And stimulants, they stimulate the central nervous system, making you feel more alert, lively, and confident. So basically, stimulants, they energize you, keeps you pumped up all night. So basically, this is one of the more common drugs taken by rock performers. So they need it. They need it to feel comfortable in stage and to feel energetic to do their stunts and stuffs. So they stimulate the central nervous systems. So basically, this can cause increased heart rate, blood pressure, and body temperature, reduce appetite, agitation, and sleeplessness. In large amounts, stimulants may cause anxiety, panic, seizures, stomach cramps, and paranoia. Caffeine, nicotine, amphetamine, cocaine, and ecstasy are all examples of stimulants. So basically, caffeine or coffee. So coffee is a stimulant, but it is not a drug because it is not as harmful when you compare it to ecstasy or cocaine. So basically, it makes you feel like you're the most energetic person in the world. So that's it. That's also the use of ecstasy. So why should you not take drugs? So I'm not the type of person that convinces other people. I am the type that rather tells you the truth right here and right now. So why not take drugs? Simply because it kills you. There's no other reason for you to stop doing drugs, because it just kills you. And we are all primal species. We don't want to die. That's our nature, being humans, being mammals. We always need to live. We always need to constantly strive to survive. That's why people go and look for jobs. That's why people tend to work for a living, because if they don't, they will die. They will have no food to bring into their table. So basically, if you take drugs, it's like you are putting yourself into a position where you would drink poison simply because you are thirsty. So is it right to drink poison when you're thirsty? So absolutely no, because it just kills you. And basically, drugs has no other purpose other than taking your life. So why kill your life? Why take your life away? So, so why not take drugs? Because simply it kills you in all sense of the word. It kills you physically, mentally, emotionally, physically, all. It takes away the meaning, the beautiful meaning that is supposed to be in you, because it destroys you. It puts you into a state where you can't recover anymore, especially if you don't want to recover. So don't take drugs if you want to live. It's as simple as that. So thank you, and that's all. Hope you have learned something. Don't take drugs because it kills. Nothing more, nothing less.